Song selection rule number 4. No Christmas carols or hymns. So this is about avoiding traditional songs. Examples of Christmas carols would be Jingle Bells, Silent Night, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And examples of hymns would be O Come All Ye Faithful, The First Noel, O Little Town of Bethlehem. Now the reason I put this rule in is that these songs have generally been done by lots of different artists, and I wouldn't really associate these songs with any particular artist or decade or year. Whereas if an artist does an original Christmas song, I'd usually associate that song with that artist. Now sometimes really popular original Christmas songs are covered many times, but there's generally one or two versions that really stand out. So I would generally pick whichever version I thought was the best, although not necessarily the original. But traditional Christmas songs like carols or hymns are a no-no, no matter how good they are. 3 no's in a row. So, song selection rule number 5. Prioritise theme over popularity. I'd say this rule was the hardest one to put into words, and you probably don't know what it means. Let's say I find a Christmas song, which I think is really good, but it's really rare, hardly anybody has heard it before, and it is about Christmas in one way or another. I would happily put a song like that in a Christmas timeline. Whereas if there was a song that had nothing to do with Christmas, but it became Christmas number 1 one year, and was classed as a Christmas song for that reason, I would be reluctant to put a song like that in. Now, when I did my 90s Christmas timeline, I didn't really have much choice. I had to put lots of songs in that were not really proper Christmas songs, but were high charters, Christmas number 1s or Christmas number 2s. Because in the 90s there was quite a lack of proper Christmas songs. Song selection rule number 6. No repeated songs. With that rule, I'm referring to the big picture. I've mentioned briefly already about how sometimes original Christmas songs get covered by different artists. So what I mean by this rule is, if I use one version of a song in one Christmas timeline, I can't use a different version of that same song in another Christmas timeline. A perfect example of this would be, in the 1950s, Harry Belafonte wrote a song called Mary's Boy Child, but when I did the 70s Christmas timeline, I used Boney M's version of that song. They actually paired that song up with another song called Oh My Lord. Another version of that song is by Matt Monro, also in the 70s. But I chose Boney M's version, and that means I have to stick with that, and I can't do that song in any other Christmas timelines, like 50s Christmas Timeline 2. And now for the last song selection rule, which is number 7. No more than 2 songs by one artist per timeline. The point of this rule is to feature as many artists in each Christmas timeline as possible. Now you may be aware that in the 90s, the Spice Girls had Christmas number 1s, 3 years on the spin. And when I did my 90s Christmas timeline, I only used 2 of those songs. That was to obey this rule. Whereas I'm able to make an exception to this rule in the 50s, because I'm going to do a second 50s Christmas timeline, which I intend to do next Christmas. And because I'm going to be doing 2, my limit for number of songs per artist is actually 4. Now, with the songs I put in 50s Christmas Timeline 1, which I've just uploaded, and the songs I'm planning to put in 50s Christmas Timeline 2, I've actually got 3 songs selected by Bing Crosby, 3 songs selected by Brenda Lee, and 3 songs selected by Joe Stafford. Okay then, I'm now going to talk about the third and final stage of planning Christmas timelines, and that is arranging the medley. So once I've got my final selection of songs, I have to work out the order to put them in. Obviously they will be in year order, but where there's a year with 2 or more songs, I have to work out the order to put those in. I try to get it all flowing in the best way. I also pick which parts of each song I'm going to perform in the medley. I usually pick about 30 to 40 seconds of each song, but it could be as low as 20 seconds, it could be as high as 50 seconds. But I try to get the whole medley lasting about 10 minutes. When I did my 90s Christmas timeline, I got a bit carried away, and that turned out about 12 minutes 9 seconds, I think. I think where I went wrong was I'd chosen fairly long parts for too many of the songs, and it all added up. And I learnt a very valuable lesson, because performing a medley that long was a lot of hard work. Anyway, going back to what I was talking about, another thing I have to figure out is how to transition from one song into the next. Sometimes I have to change key signatures to do this. So if there's a song in C major, followed by a song in F sharp major, followed by a song in G major, the song that's in F sharp major, I might transpose it into F or maybe into G. And when I'm transitioning from one song into the next, I pay careful attention to what the last chord of one song is and the first chord of the next, and I might have to throw in some transitional chords to get from one into the other smoothly. It's all about smooth flowing. Another thing I have to think about is how the medley is going to start and how it's going to finish. Sometimes I'm restricted by only having one song selected for the first year of the decade, or one song selected for the last year of the decade, or both. If I have a choice of songs to open, it makes it easier, or if I've got a choice of songs to close, then I can basically pick the strongest ones. But otherwise I may have to put a bit of creative thought into it to try and open in a way that works and close in a way that works. Anyway, I think I've covered everything with planning Christmas timelines, so Merry Christmas, see you later.